Welcome back. I am Andy, and you are listening to The Tide. And in the Tide studio with me right now, Alexis Tisdale. Alexis, welcome. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. You're a recent first-time home buyer, so first off, congratulations.
Thank you.
How old are you?
I am 25.
Okay, so kind of in that age where you're looking at a home. Tell us about how you first decided you wanted to buy a house instead of renting, and where and how did you begin that whole process?
So I graduated college in 2020, and I had kind of known throughout college that I wanted to eventually purchase a home. So I ended up getting a job up in Northern Virginia, and the sticking point for me was finding out that my 700 square foot apartment was more in rent than my parents' 2,100 square foot house down here in Williamsburg, paying their mortgage. And at that point, about a year and a half in, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I decided, hey, I've saved up enough. I'm interested in looking at homes. And it was then I turned to Liz Moore to help me with my home finding journey. And it was a great experience.
Well, that's great to hear. Obviously it worked out because you made a purchase. Mm-hmm. Now, what didn't you know when you began? There's stuff you knew, but what didn't you know?
Well, it's very nice of you to assume that I knew something, because I knew absolutely nothing.
You haven't knew the benefit of the doubt.
Like I said, just recently out of college, new to the whole, my generation calls it adulting. So this was an entirely new experience, and Liz Moore and her team were invaluable because I was going into a crazy market knowing absolutely nothing. I was blindfolded and I was like, these are my expectations. Had no idea how the house search process was. And they definitely helped me through it. And I know a lot more, and I'm interested in a lot more now because of it.
And when you're looking for your first home, what were some of the boxes that this house you were looking for had to check off? I mean, was there a certain number of like bedrooms or bathrooms? Did you want a backyard? Was there anything that like you had to have included during this home search? So
I will say that my expectations fluctuated based on the market. When I went in, like I said, I didn't know anything. I was originally looking for single family homes. I wanted a yard, 3-bed, 3-bath, garage. Inflation adjusted my expectations a little bit, but for the most part, I still feel like I got a majority of that in a townhouse, and so I'm extremely happy with where I ended up. But yes, I did have requirements. It was just multi-bedroom, so either a 3-bed, 2-bath, 3-bed, 3-bath. I would have preferred a deck, which this house has, and ample lighting. And one of the things that I found very interesting in my house tours were finding things that I didn't even realize I wanted in a home. And so I found that making sure that it's in a central location and it's close to a grocery store and within a reasonable commute to my work, stuff like that I probably wouldn't have put in a list beforehand, kind of changed my outlook as the process continued.
Once you started comparing potential homes and sites and you realized the importance of location.
Yep, for sure.
Well, it sounds like you got what you wanted, so congratulations again. And I know the market's really crazy right now, especially in price ranges under $300,000. Did you find yourself in a bidding war for the home you wanted?
Every single time.
Yeah.
With 5 to 20 people. It was crazy. And that was one of the things that caused me to adjust a lot of things. Is I had been pre-approved for a certain amount, and I was finding that the escalation prices over the listing were bumping me out of a range. And so I had to adjust for that and realize, hey, if this is the list price, I have to be reasonably comfortable paying X amount over that.
But it worked out, and I guess Liz Moore and her team helped you navigate all that.
They absolutely did. I mean, my agent, Ellen Connect, was my agent, and she was absolutely wonderful. She answered every question that I had, even if I asked it 50 times, 50 different ways. She really did give me a lot of information, and I will be the first to admit that her recommendations early on when it came to putting in offers were spot on. It's just that at that point in my journey, I wasn't necessarily comfortable with making that type of offer. And so that was something that I had to do as well. As I had to grow and get comfortable doing certain things in order to end up providing, my seller with the house that I currently closed on with an offer that they would choose.
And you talked about how navigating that can be a little bit crazy, especially with this market. Did you ever feel like giving up?
Yes.
But you powered through.
I did. And actually, this last house ended up being it. But this was also going to be it because I figured, I'd been trying for, at that point, 8 months. I mean, I had been looking since November of last year. And I was like, if it's not meant to be right now, it's not meant to be. I'll take a break. I'll see how things go in a couple months. But it was meant to be, and I ended up getting it.
And it worked out, and now you're a proud homeowner. So congratulations once again, Alexis. We're going to take a real quick break. I want to talk to you more about the whole home buying journey and that process. Maybe some of our listeners can learn some things. So Alexis, stick around. We're going to take a real quick break. But thank you for joining me.
Thanks.
Back here in the Tide studio with Alexis Tisdale, a first-time home buyer. I'm Andy. Alexis, we were just talking before the break about how, you went through the whole process looking for a home and, all the boxes the home had to check off and, what changed throughout your journey. One thing we didn't mention, interest rates hiked up right in the middle of your home buying journey. How did that make an impact on your home search?
So initially when I read that, I thought that it was going to be disastrous for my home search. And it ended up not impacting it at all, really. Just because the competition was already so horrendous. I was already working in a market where I was competing against anywhere from 5 to 20 different offers. People were on dual income while I was on single income. And what I found that the greatest factor in my ability to put down a competitive offer was the competition itself. It was making sure that I had enough of a gap in what I could afford. And so that drove down the cost for the price range that I was operating in, much less the interest rate as opposed to what I could actually afford.
So do you think that kind of making those adjustments was the most difficult part of navigating the home buying process and the housing market? Or was there something else that was more of a challenge for you?
So for me personally, and this is a very personal thing, but I am not a person that makes split-second decisions at all.
You like to sleep on it.
Yes, it took me 2 years in order to just identify the brand of car I wanted to buy. So it was a very big step for me to get comfortable with touring a home and then deciding an hour later if I wanted to put an offer on it. Like, I think the very first home that I toured, it was on the market for 6 hours, and by the time I had gotten off work to tour it, there had already been 4 tours. And I had to decide at the end of the tour, am I going to put an offer on this? And I'm like, but wait, I don't know. And so that was the hardest part for me.
But in the end, you were decisive, and you decided to purchase the home that you're now living in. So congratulations. You overcame something that you've identified as a struggle.
Yes, I did. It was personal growth.
Yes. So on the flip side, what was the most fun part of the whole home buying process?
I think the most fun part for me personally was just talking with my agent, Ellen, on house tours, because she's absolutely wonderful. And so when we closed, I was actually kind of sad because I'm like, man, I'm not going to be texting her as much anymore about questions I have. So
did you at least invite her to the home warming party?
Home warming party has not happened yet.
But I'm guessing she'll be invited.
Get an invite, yes.
Well, she obviously had a lot of really good advice for you. Any advice you'd like to pass along to others who are thinking about buying their first home?
So the advice that was given to me was now is always the best time to buy. And because I was on the fence, should I wait until interest rates drop, until the market cools off? And ultimately, I decided not to wait because I realized my money today is probably going to be worth the most it's going to be worth as opposed to 2 years from now, because historically, that's how inflation works. And so I figure if I can get in now, it'll just be a couple extra years that I'll be able to own something and build equity So that would be a big point. And then the next biggest point would be going with Liz Moore. And they really did make it very easy. And that was one of the things that I found out through the process, is that they did things for me, like looping in the title company, not having to worry about that I didn't realize other people have to worry about, choosing a title company and doing all of these other things. And so I think that Liz Moore has been an invaluable resource for this community. They know so much about it. And for me personally, it was just the right combination of going with someone that has a big enough infrastructure to support, knowledge and growth and reputation, but also small enough to be personal. And I think that that's something that's really unique that they have. And clearly, because I felt like, Ellen was my best friend for 8 months. But I can't recommend them enough. And for first-time home buyers especially, anything you can do to make that process easier would 100% do it. Being patient, because again, it took me 8 months in order to find something, and being willing to engage with your agent. And that was one of the things that I found really exciting, was that I would read stuff on Instagram, and they have ironically, a great real estate section on Instagram. And I would find stuff about loans and just real estate in general. I'd be like, that's really interesting. I haven't heard of that. I'd talk to Ellen about it. I talked to my parents, and it just helped me get more well-rounded as a whole and more confident in the real estate market. So that would be my sticking points, is definitely go with Liz Moore. And you can check out their website at www.lizmore.com.
Well, Alexis, I want to thank you for stopping by and sharing your home buying journey. And again, congratulations on being a homeowner. I know that's really exciting.
Thank you. I'm very excited and nervous and everything in between.
Well, before I let you go, one last question. What is your favorite thing so far of being a homeowner?
I think it's just the pride in what I have been able to achieve. So for me, it has been kind of the culmination of all of the choices that I've made through college and, early on, where I'm like, this is why I, had to do late nights, so to speak. And I'm finally able to have something that's mine. I don't have to ask if I can put holes in the wall. So it's a great feeling. And it's really nice because I have my friends, my family, my boyfriend there to support me. And it makes me so proud to know that, I have done them well.
Yeah. And now you have a place where you can host them all together for dinner, game night, whatever you want to do.
Yes, I'm very excited about that.
Well, once again, Alexis, congratulations on being a homeowner. And I want to thank you again for stopping by and sharing your journey.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yep. That is Alexis Tisdale, a first-time home buyer right here in Williamsburg.